There are many different ways of working with consciousness. When we use voice dialogue in working with people, we can't really separate that work from other therapeutic modalities. For example, we have to pay attention to dreams. We have to pay attention to the ability of people to react interpersonally. We have to pay attention to the energetic relationship between people. What we'd like to do right now is give you a picture of how we can use voice dialogue in working with a dream process. There are many, many different ways and exciting ways of working with dreams, but voice dialogue certainly is an important one of those group. So you've been going through a rather hard time, really, with the surgery and long convalescence and so forth. Can you give me a little idea of what's been happening? And
well, I just finished a double mastectomy for cancer. I've been doing everything I can to build myself up. I really try to pay attention to things, take care of myself. I'm trying to eat right, trying to watch my exercise a little bit, but nothing seems to be working. And
taking care of yourself is something you're not really used to, is it?
I don't know how to do it. I really don't know how to do it. I'm the kind of person who takes care of other people.
Right, right.
And basically I love it. I've been doing it since I was really quite young.
Right.
And, I take care of my husband. And we don't have children, but I do take care of him. He's very dear to me. We've been married about 10 years, and he's very precious, and he's very sensitive.
Yeah.
And I really have to be careful with him and watch him.
Right. At the end of our last session, you mentioned a dream that you'd had, and we didn't have time to get to it. I wonder if you could share that with me now, so I could just hear what that's about.
It was a terrible dream, actually. I had it the night before I went in for surgery. And what I dreamt was that there were 2 gorillas eating my breasts.
My goodness, what a dream.
It was horrible. It was horrible. And I've been thinking about that. I had a lot of time in surgery and recuperation, and I've been thinking about why my breasts and why gorillas.
Did you have a feeling about
And I have a very strong feeling. Even though I haven't had my own children, I mothered everybody. It's almost as though because I hadn't had my own children, I've mothered the entire world. And I was thinking it might have something to do with that mothering, because I really do. I love people.
So really, the gorillas are doing an amazing thing here. They're taking this mothering function that the breasts represent and literally devouring it.
And I was wondering if that had some kind of a symbolic reference to it. And one of the things I was thinking about was I have not separated from that mother. I mean, the thing I was worried about as I went into surgery was, had I left enough food ready for my husband for the week that I was going to be gone? See, I cooked stuff and I labeled it for each day, and I put it in the freezer so he could warm it up.
Yeah.
And so he would be taken care of.
So that's an example of the breast, isn't it?
That's really an example of the breast.
Well, that might give us an interesting way to explore this dream, because we have these 2 very powerful and opposite elements in it. There's the breasts, and there's the gorillas.
Right.
And why don't we start with the breasts, since that seems to be the primary image here,
and
what
mother.
the breasts represent as the mother,
my mothering,
the mother side, and see what that part of you has to say, because in some way that dream is trying to balance something, and let's find out what that is.
That's what I had that sense of. It feels right. Okay.
So why don't we move over to the side that would have to do with that mothering function, okay?
Okay.
So, you're pretty much the way she is when she's sitting over there, aren't you?
I'm pretty much the way she is.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
I really am. But, one of the saddest things for me has been she didn't have real children. She didn't have her own children. And I've taken to my heart everybody and everybody's children. Actually, the only one I have to mother, I have 2 people to mother directly. I have her husband, and he's very dear.
Yeah.
And I have her mother who I take care of.
Yes.
I visit her a lot. She doesn't live with us, but I really like to kind of keep track of her. Actually, I take care of friends too. But I really have this sense of people, and I have a sense of what they need, and I love them to be happy.
I was struck by the story she told when she went into the hospital that you prepared all this food for everyone.
Of course I did. Well, you know, he doesn't like being alone, and he's not very good on his own. And if he's on his own, he's not going to eat. So what I did was I prepared food for the whole time. I knew I'd be flat on my back.
Right.
And I labeled it, and I prepared all his favorite stuff, and I was sure there was enough coffee and enough snacks in the house. And, you know, things that he could just open up and eat if he wants to. And then I made sure the laundry was done and all his clothes were clean so that he was be taken care of, because he's going to be worrying about me.
Yeah.
You know, I know he worries about her,
Yeah.
and I know if anything happened to her, he'd just be distraught. I don't know what he would do.
Would it be an accurate statement to make to say that you have been Sarah for a good many years?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that really is the way it's been, isn't it?
Well, you know, her poor mom, she needed a mother. And I took care of her. I could feel, you know,
So it goes way back. Yeah.
Yeah. She was always kind of in it over her head.
Well, I really appreciate having had this chance to meet you. You certainly come up in her dream with absolute clarity. Mm-hmm. And it would appear that you have occupied a very large amount of space in her personality.
Well, I do.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, you know, if I think somebody's been good to her or good for her, I like to really take care of them. I really do. I like to pay things back that way.
Well, I want to thank you very much for talking with me. And
you're a lovely man.
Well, thank you.
And you have a good heart. And if there's anything I can do for you at some point, well, I know you're interested in working with cancer. And
well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's come back here. So the breast in the dream is connected to the primary self, namely the mothering function. In the dream process, invariably the unconscious is trying to balance things. If the primary self is too strong in one direction, the dream will come along and try to bring a balance. In this case, the gorillas, the opposite principle of mothering, are actually literally eating up the breasts. Let's see now what the gorillas are about and what they stand for in the psyche. So that's quite interesting. You see, that's really who you've been, and there's nothing wrong with who you've been.
I hope not.
The problem is that you've been married to that person. That is to say, it has represented you in toto. Mm-hmm. And our job is to help you to separate from that side so that you still have it available. It will always be primary for you, but that it doesn't occupy all of you.
Do you think that might have had anything to do, you know, with the illness?
You know, we just never talk about what causes illness. It's just not a very good way to go. Mm-hmm. What we try to do is to use illness as a teacher. You developed this cancer. No one knows why you developed the cancer. I don't know why you developed it. It certainly is the case very often in dreams that we get imagery like this.
Well, it sure catches your attention. I must say, it certainly caught my attention.
Yeah. So we really have a chance here to take advantage of this illness and learn something from it. And illness as teacher is really what we're trying to teach here in some ways in this work.
Okay, because I do have a sense that while she's operating, it's very hard for me to take care of myself.
Exactly. It's hard
I
to be selfish.
I was shocked. Yeah, I was shocked to realize how much she was worried about taking care of my husband. I forgot to bring a toothbrush to the hospital.
Right.
Because she was so busy taking care of him.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the gorillas might help you to be less forgetful about your own needs.
Okay.
So why don't we go over to the other side now and see what these gorillas are about? So.
Well, God. Well, first of all,
You look like you're getting out of a straitjacket.
I feel like I'm getting out of a straitjacket. This is a big woman.
Yeah.
You know, she tries to scrunch herself down into that itsy-bitsy mothery thing. I mean,
She is big.
I'm big.
Strong.
She's big. We're strong.
Uh-huh.
You know, we've been physical. We've been, God, I remember the days when we used to play basketball. I've
Really?
been an athlete. Yeah.
So she actually used to be an athlete?
She actually used to be an athlete. I mean, she sits around, she does seminars, she learns, she psychs herself out, she's and analyzing stuff. I don't worry about that kind of stuff. I just don't worry about it at all.
So really, you would want a more physical life.
I
mean,
want
if
a
you got
more
out.
physical life. I mean, her husband isn't very physical, but that's not a problem for me.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean she gives it all up because he's not.
Uh-huh.
He's a thinker and he's a businessman.
matches him in some way.
She matches him, and she just gives me up totally.
Uh-huh.
And I need space, and I need movement.
Uh-huh.
And I need a place also to not be nice.
Uh-huh.
I'm not nice. I mean, I'm not nice, but I'm not nice. She is so sweet. She is so thoughtful.
Uh-huh.
I mean, ugh.
Uh-huh. So
Basically.
really then it's like you're like some energy that would just take what it wants or do what it wants, just be utterly ruthlessly selfish about its own needs.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, what if she dies and we haven't done what we want to do?
Yeah. You would never have prepared all that food for the husband and gotten all his clothes cleaned and so forth. That wouldn't be your way of operating in the world.
She's so busy trying to be the good woman.
Right, right.
You know, she's trying to balance the fact that she never had any children or something like that, for
Right.
God's sakes. No, I wouldn't have done that. You know what I would have done? I would have had a chance to go out. I would have moved.
Uh-huh.
After all, you know, after you're in the hospital, you can't move for a while.
Right.
I would have moved. I would have walked. I would have danced. I would have gone to the. I like playing tennis.
Uh-huh.
Her husband doesn't play tennis. I
If
haven't
you
played
find tennis
tennis. I'd
players,
find
yeah.
a partner.
You'd play really hard.
I'd play really hard. I'd probably play with men, not
You'd
women.
be a killer,
even. I'd be
too.
a killer. I
As a
love
player.
to compete,
You-
and I love to win.
You have that killer instinct
I
that they
sure
talk
do.
about in tennis.
I sure do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like one of those ladies when they pull 5 steps ahead or something like that. I start
Yeah.
losing the game.
Yeah, you
I like winning.
Go for the juggler.
Yeah, that's why they like me on the team.
Yeah?
God, I remember once somebody was heckling us and said I should have been penalized. I jumped over the railing
Uh-huh.
and I tackled the lady.
Are you really? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a little more intensity about life, actually.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
You're louder also.
Yeah, I
You
am
like
loud.
noise. You
I'm
like-
loud. She keeps trying. Well, you know, I'm big. I'm loud. If I'm natural, I'm really loud.
Uh-huh.
She keeps trying to kind of fit me into something smaller.
Right. It's like she puts. It sounds like almost like putting sedation pills.
Putting sedation.
Putting Valium
Putting me in
in your
drag
food.
and high heels
Right.
so I can't walk.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing.
It's just, it's totally amazing.
So what would be if you could have one wish satisfied immediately, immediate gratification? You know what I mean? I bring you back to the aware ego and one wish, one piece of gratification immediately, instant gratification.
Well,
What would it be?
unfortunately, it's a big instant. What I'd
is
want
it?
her to do is buy a ticket to go on a big trip.
A big trip.
A big trip.
Alone?
Alone.
Alone.
Just alone. Just something where she's physical.
Uh-huh.
As soon as things
Starts moving around the
start
planet.
to move, start to move around the planet. I want to go trekking.
Uh-huh.
My husband is not a trekker. I want to trek.
Where would you trek?
I want to trek. Nepal or Thailand or something like that.
Really get it out and move
Really
it.
move.
And stretch and really,
yeah.
to the limit.
Yeah, carry a backpack, carry a load, walk, see things, not depend on anybody else.
That's a big instant gratification.
That's a big instant. Well, it's a small one. Was she could buy the ticket.
Yeah.
And start reading books.
Right.
How's that? The other thing, well, for just a small one, but
Yeah.
I'm big. What can I say?
Yeah.
I'm big. For a small one, maybe she could have her husband take her out to dinner tonight instead of feeding him.
Otherwise, when she goes home tonight,
She's going
she
to go
will make
home
dinner.
from this, put on her little apron and make dinner for him.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's sweet, but it's not me.
Yeah, well, it's not very sweet either, as far as you're concerned.
No.
Is it? No, it's not sweet at all. It's a pain in the ass. As
Well,
far as you're
sweet
concerned.
is not me.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, it's amazing talking to you. I can see why she had this dream. It sounds like your time is coming.
My time is coming.
You know what I mean?
Because if her time is nearing an end, I'm going to get a few days in there. I'm going to get my licks in.
Right.
I'm not going to go out like a girl in a frilly apron.
Right, right. I can see that. Yeah. Well, it's been amazing talking to you, and I just really hope that she really takes you seriously, because I think life could be very different if you were around. I'll tell you that. I think you know that, and anybody listening to this knows that also.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's come back here to the Where You Go, okay? Well, there's a pair of opposites, huh?
Well, I'd certainly forgotten about her.
Yeah, there's a pair of
Well,
opposites.
actually, it's a him.
Yeah. Well, it sounds as though the unconscious is absolutely ready to help you to claim this energy. I mean, you know, we forget about these parts of ourself, or we never even know them in the first place, and then the dream comes along, and suddenly there it is, and we know it's there, and it's time to grab hold of it, you know, to really grab hold of the ring.
It's amazing, because I had totally forgotten about it. I never tell anybody.
Yeah.
I never tell anybody I used to play basketball, and I never look for a tennis game, and I never look for things like that.
Well, in a way, she would almost be ashamed of it. I mean, where she is right now in terms of seminars and her mind and learning,
spirituality,
that's it's a part of her that's almost negative.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
I can
right.
really see that.
So it's very exciting. You mean it's really okay? I mean,
right.
Basically, is it really okay? Am I still a woman if I have this?
Well, I can only give you my humble opinion, and I would say you are who you are. Mm-hmm. And as a woman, you have these two sides, and that's the reality. And learning how to handle both of them in the world is a task, because you have to stretch to be able to contain them both. They're totally, totally different.
I'm big.
Yeah, but yes, well, that's right. She's big, and you have to become very big as an aware ego to handle those energies. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So here's an example of the use of voice dialogue in the dream process. What we did here really was basically a fairly classic piece of work. One part of the dream, the breast, was related to the primary self system. We started with that, which is what we try to do all the time in this work whenever we can. And on the other side was the disowned self system. In this case, the disowned self, the gorillas, were a way of being in the world that at one time was fully available to her. She lived it out as an athlete and as a very aggressive, assertive athlete. And then life stepped in, and for a variety of reasons, that self became literally a disowned self. This isn't at all uncommon in the development of these selves, where a primary self is primary at one time in your life and becomes disowned at another time in your life. But at least now, Sarah, with the help of these dreams and the voice dialogue, has a sense of the opposites that are operating in her and an opportunity to learn how to embrace both of them and use them in the world, which she badly needs for her healing process. Without those gorillas, her immune system, her ability for a healthy life in general is much impaired.
And as Sarah, I get so excited. I get a rush of energy when this starts coming in. I feel much better after a session like this. I could feel the life pouring back into me. The mother in me, I can feel life, but it's as though it pours out towards other people. And I get a feeling of completion from giving. Here with the gorilla energy, the feeling of completion is within me. And between the two of them, there's a marvelous sense of being open to all of life.
In this demonstration, we're going to be showing the use of voice dialogue with dreams. The dream process is an extremely significant part of transformational work. And as we've said before, working with dreams can lead to much, much vital information. There are many, many ways of approaching the dream process. Voice dialogue is a very, very powerful tool in this transformational work. The client is a woman from France who has been living in the United States for a period of time, and we'll now see how the dream process enters into the work. So how have things been going, Dominique? Can you tell me a little bit about what's been happening for you?
Well, it's been very interesting, and the work that we've been doing has been really nice. And I had a dream a couple of nights ago that I think has a lot to do with what's going on.
Can you just share what the dream was? And
Okay, it touched me a great deal, I must say. It worried me. At any rate, I dreamt that I was in a salon in Paris, and we were all chatting and talking. I looked beautiful. I had on a new dress, and my hair was just so...
what sort of salon was this? You mean like a fashion salon?
No. You know, a group of people getting together and discussing things. And,
I see.
We were
Very social and also intellectual.
Lovely social, intellectual affair.
Right.
The kind that I miss here.
Yes.
I don't get the same kinds of experiences here.
Right.
But at any rate, we were there and we were talking about books and film and art. And it was wonderful, and I was just feeling very much at home. And I felt very sparkly and very, very, very comfortable in my skin. And I had lots of charming, interesting people to talk to.
Yes.
Very, very bright. And then I heard a sound. And I went to one of those big French doors, that open onto a balcony. And it seemed to be coming out, in from outside those French doors. And when I went and I looked, I opened the doors and I looked. And outside of the doors, over to the right, there was a little girl. She was about 5 years old. And she had on just a very thin dress and bare feet. And her teeth were chattering, and she was blue. She was kind of curled up.
Oh, my God.
And she'd been out there for a long time.
And she was just shivering out there.
She was just shivering all alone and freezing.
Wow.
And I took her in, and I wrapped her up, and I put her in the bed in the big room.
This was all in the dream?
This was all in the dream.
That you found her and wrapped her up and put her in the big room?
But I was horrified.
Yeah.
She'd been out there all that time.
Well, what's your sense of what's happening here? Do you have it's a pretty clear dream in many ways, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I've been a very social creature. And very intellectual. My family was a group of, they were writers. They were they were part of the society there.
Right.
And I was really trained. I've been able to be with people like that. I like being with people like that. I like talking. I love good conversation. I love reading books.
Right.
I love the arts. And I love sharing all of that. And I've always been a very social animal. But when I was a little girl, I was very shy. And awkward.
I see.
Yeah.
So until what age did that shyness remain?
Well, my mother started sending me to dance class when I was about 6.
So really just around the age of the child, that would have been the time that your mother decided to make you less awkward and less shy. Wow.
Yeah.
So she returns.
So I think it's the return of that child. I think, we've been doing this work, and I think she's a part of me that's been locked out for many, many years. I think that's a part of me that's been locked out of the windows and kept out of the party.
Yeah.
Just basically kept out of the party because there's no place for her in my life.
Right. Well, it seems like we have a good intellectual grasp of the dream now, and even some feeling grasp of the dream. So the next step would be to really make these two selves more objective, so you get a chance to really experience them more strongly.
You mean I didn't take care of it by bringing her in and putting her in the bed?
Well, you did, yes. Oh, no. That's a lot that's happened here. But I think it would be valuable to really have the experience of being that intellectual woman. You see, the dream has come right now because you've been going through a lot of changes. And because of those changes, you're ready to experience the different parts of you in a very, very different way. The child, after all, was unavailable to you until fairly recently. And now, not only is it available, but you're taking care of her. So let's feel into her a little bit. So we'll start with the part of you that's more primary, namely the social and intellectual woman who enjoys so much this marvelous way of being in the world, okay? So how about moving over to that side first?
Okay. Well,
So, how are you?
I'm just fine. It's really quite pleasant to be here, and I think this is just fascinating.
Yeah. You really love fascinating things.
I love fascinating
Of all
things.
kinds.
Of any kind.
Yeah, yeah.
Any kind.
You have a wide range of interests, don't you?
Yeah, I love studying things. I love learning about things. I love interesting people.
Yeah.
And fascinating places. And I love talking about them, and I love meeting people who've been places and done things and thought
Yeah.
thoughts.
And also from what she said before, what Dominique said was that you also love having a group of people to talk to about all these things. That's something you miss about being in France,
Yes.
not being there, that you had there. Yeah.
Yes, I do. And there's something just marvelous about people who really think
Uh-huh.
and who really use ideas and language
Right.
gracefully and graciously,
Yeah. Yeah.
and who carry themselves gracefully and graciously too. And that's something that's lacking in a lot of the world, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate being with people who feel that way.
And you carry that very well.
Well,
Yeah.
I try.
Yeah.
I try. And I've been a part of her for a long time. And if you are that way, people who are like that, they appreciate you. And they're
Yeah.
open to you.
When were you born in her life?
Well, I was born when she was quite young because her mother wanted her to be a lady, She wanted her.
So she started a program, really, of starting with the dancing, and that was the beginning of your birth. And before that, it was the other side that was there. Yeah. How do you feel about this little girl that's been found? She's very different than you. In the dream, you were very open to her, and you helped her, and,
She disturbs me.
Uh-huh.
She disturbs me.
Do you think she would disturb your life and Dominique's life if she were a part of it?
Frankly, I can't see any use for her. I mean, it's okay to bring her in from the cold. I don't like to see anybody freezing.
I see.
But I simply can't see any use for a child like that. I
Right.
think she'd hamper our movement.
In the world, yeah.
She'd hamper our movement in the world. She would mess. She wouldn't relate well to people.
Right, right,
She's insecure.
right.
She doesn't know how to be with others.
Yeah.
She has no grace.
Well, you certainly have grace, that's for sure. You really have a presence about you and gracefulness in everything that you do and how you move and how you talk. I mean,
Well, thank you.
yeah. Well, I think I have a good sense of who you are and how you came up in the dream, and it sort of fills out the thing for me to talk to you directly and get a feel for you this way.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah. Let's come back to the where you go. So there is the one who was born when you were 5 or 6 and whose development went on from that time and who gradually took over the personality and ultimately became Dominique.
She doesn't make much contact with you. She's looking at you.
Yeah.
She looks at you. She doesn't
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, it's not an intimacy, but intimacy, she doesn't claim to be intimate.
No, she would be horrified at the idea.
Yeah, she doesn't.
Horrified.
That would almost be like, washing her stockings in public. I mean, she doesn't claim to be. She doesn't have any interest in being. She really represents a kind of just a grace in life, a beautiful sense of manners and conversation and a flow of language that's quite lovely. But she certainly isn't interested in intimate connections.
No, she's not interested in sharing feelings. Ideas are okay,
Yeah.
and talking about feelings are okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But here, it's like I'd be more interested in you as a human being.
Right, yeah. Okay, well, I think she's fairly clear now, and now I would like to meet this little girl and see what she's about. So just if we could move over to have a chance to be with her.
Okay, I was just wondering, could I sit on the floor? I think she'd
It's fine with
feel
me.
more comfortable
Yeah,
to sit
sure.
on the floor, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, I just think that would feel a little bit better. I mean, if that's okay, if there's any problem, people should just let me know, you know. Yeah. Hi.
Hi. So you've been out in the cold for a long time, haven't you?
I've been out in the cold for a really, 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 really long time.
Yeah,
Just forever and ever.
yeah.
And I just don't do things right. I don't say things right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hold my fork right.
Mm-hmm.
I always get my dresses dirty.
Yeah,
Everything is always kind of
yeah.
wrong. And I don't like all those people who are so smart and have no...
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't like all those people who are smart and have no hearts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They have no hearts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're all brains.
Well, they're, different strokes for different folks. They're just a different kind of person than you, They do the thing that they do very, very well, but like you say, they work from the head and not from the heart. And Dominique, really, when she's not connected to you, she's not connected to her heart. So long as you're out there in that cold, cold porch, Dominique is in the salon having a wonderful time from here up, but not from here down, see. She needs you.
I'm always lonesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always lonesome.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend once.
Mm-hmm. What happened to that friend?
They fired her. She was the nurse.
She was a nurse, and she had a heart.
And she had heart, and she took care of me, and she held me, and she used to sing. Oh, God. She used to sing the most beautiful songs. And then I felt good, and it was warm, and it always smelled good around her.
Why did they fire her?
I know why.
Why?
Her mother was jealous.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Because I liked her.
Because you liked her. You really loved her, I bet.
I really loved her. Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah. So they got rid of her.
And she didn't care if I didn't do things right, and she didn't care how I talked, and...
She loved you unconditionally, didn't she? She really loved you, yeah.
Yeah.
Was there anybody else in Dominique's life that loved you that way?
I had a dog.
A dog? Did you have it for a long time?
Not very.
Why?
It died.
The dog died. My goodness, you haven't had very good luck, have you? Well, I hope it's going to change now, because Dominique is going to have to learn how to love you unconditionally and how to take care of you. That's going to be her job. Dominique is going to learn how to be a mommy to you. A real mommy.
Really?
Absolutely. That's her task. Her task is to learn how to take care of you and give you the mothering and the parenting that you've never had. Because you really have never had a real mommy or daddy.
No, I didn't.
Just the nurse for as long as that was the only one you ever had. Yeah. So what would that be like for you if Dominique were to really sit with you and talk with you and so forth? What would you want?
There are some of her friends I don't like. They're mean.
Uh-huh.
And they're cruel, and they make fun of people with hearts.
Uh-huh. I see.
Tease.
Yeah.
They tease about people who have feelings, and they make fun of them, and I don't like them.
Ah.
She has a girlfriend that...
They're probably book critics for some of the magazines, huh? They know how to do that real good.
Actually, one of them is a literary critic.
Yeah.
That's a big word for me.
Yeah.
I have trouble with literary. It doesn't come out so good.
Yeah, but I know that's the kind of person, yeah. So she has some of those kinds of friends, and you're scared of them.
I'm really scared. They're mean.
Yeah, I believe you.
They look for where somebody's soft spot is, and then they put a knife in it.
Right.
I don't like that. That's not nice people.
So you'd like her to listen to you and at least listen to your input about who's mean and who's nice. I think you could help her a lot if you told her that. She really probably doesn't even know that.
I know it. I watch.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else that you would want her to, pay attention to that would help you? Would you like a dog or a cat?
I would love a pet.
A pet?
Yeah.
What
I'd
kind of
like
pet?
a cat.
A cat?
I'd like a cat. I used to like dogs, but it's too much trouble.
Uh-huh.
Really, even now I know that.
Uh-huh.
But a cat, a nice fuzzy cat that purrs.
Mm-hmm.
A nice one.
Yeah.
A purry cat. One that I could hold and it could sit in my lap. And then I could, you know what I'd love to do?
What?
I'd love to sit in a chair by myself sometimes with a cat in my lap and look out the window.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe read a book or watch a movie that's really sweet.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Sweet movie.
One that touches your heart.
She watches other kinds of movies, doesn't she?
All of them are so sophisticated.
Oh, I see.
And she doesn't think sweet or happy endings. I'd love to see,
Mm-hmm.
something really,
Mm-hmm.
really nice. Like, oh gosh, she accidentally saw Prelude to a Kiss.
Mm-hmm.
And I just,
You love that.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And then she had to laugh about it with her friends.
Ah. So with her friends, she had to talk against it, and wow.
But
Boy, she really can use you, that's for sure. Yeah.
she could use me a lot. I know a lot about people. She doesn't know anything about people.
Yeah. Do you have a name?
Niki.
Niki.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great name for you, Niki. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Niki, I have really, really, really enjoyed meeting you. And I want to talk to Dominique a little bit right now because we need to come to a real understanding about you, because Dominique has to learn how to take care of you in a way that you've never been taken care of before. She's starting to in the dream, which is a very good sign, but now she has to sort of, pay attention, learn how to be with you like I'm with you now.
Yeah. I just thought of something else I need.
What?
I thought of something else. I don't like going to parties alone. She's really good about it, but I'm really shy.
Yeah, you're shy about
I don't
that.
like going to parties alone.
So you'd like her to get a friend to go with, so you don't have to be alone there. She's listening to all this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you again for talking with me, Niki. Let's go back to Dominique, okay?
Okay. Well.
So this is the aware ego again.
Well, I don't know what to do with her.
Well, that's part of the training in this work, I'm a substitute aware ego until you learn how to be a proper aware ego, you see? In other words, I talk to the different selves inside you until you can identify them and learn how to be with them and take care of them properly and use them in your life in some kind of balanced way. Then you don't need me anymore to talk to them. You do the talking yourself, you see? So right now, in a way, I'm modeling for you the way to be with the child, to listen to her, to take her seriously. It doesn't mean doing everything she says.
It would be very, very difficult
Yeah.
to stop going to parties and
Yeah,
and
well, that's not what it's about, you see. It doesn't mean you have to run out and get her a cat, but you have to listen to her desire for a cat and take it seriously. You have to know she's in you and that she wants it. You have to feel her loneliness when you go to the party. You see what I mean? And then if you begin to feel her in that way and take her seriously in that way, just as you take her seriously, then you will begin gradually to make real choices. Because really and truly, up until now, you haven't been making choices. Rather, she has been choosing for you. Now,
that sophisticated one.
the
has been
sophisticated
choosing
one
for
has
me.
been choosing for exactly.
Well, I do lead a sophisticated life.
Yeah.
Well, I actually I can get a feeling that, there have been times when I've felt her a little bit. She's not a total surprise.
Yeah. And also, can you feel, even now, even though you've separated,
There's
can
a
you feel
difference.
how different our connection is because she's present?
Yeah, it's
There's
much warmer. It's
Exactly.
fuller and warmer. You can almost
She
almost touch it. It's not like I'm shy.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm shy or anything, but she does create an intimacy, and she creates
Exactly.
a kind of a flow.
That's her gift. Her gift is to create this flow, this intimate connection and feeling between you and other people. But it's really your choice in using
That's right.
it.
That's right, because there are some people who don't respond well to that, and then she
Well-
gets hurt. And then the idea is I bring in this one, and then I'm just cooler.
If you're with me and I'm a kind of a mean person and so forth, and you sense it, then you bring in that energy and you protect her. If I'm somebody who you can trust and you feel good with, then you bring her in and you open up more. So you play all the instruments of the orchestra, or you direct all the instruments of the orchestra, you see, and you use the music that's appropriate to the situation.
It's very good. That makes a lot of sense. And the dream makes a lot of sense. And so I could see that in the dream I was really beginning to bring her in. And
It's a very big change in a dream to go out on the porch and not just discover the child, but bring her inside and bring her in the room and wrap it up. It means that the awareness of the child and the aware ego really is developing in a very, very strong way and beginning to really, really look after this child, which is
it's
why we
funny.
could do this work.
It's funny, I was thinking about that. I had the dream the day after I saw that movie. It must have started her coming up, and it must have softened me enough to go out and look for her.
Right, exactly. Well, softened her enough.
So that I could do
And then you were starting to separate from that just a little bit.
Okay.
You have to be a little bit separated from that side for the dream to happen. If you're married to that side, you can't have a dream about the
That's
little
right.
girl, you see.
That's right.
So there has to be some separation beginning.
I've heard that. That's
Yeah.
good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So our initial understanding of the dream is really an intellectual one. We get a very clear picture of two wonderful pair of opposites. The sophisticated, intellectual French woman and this child, one of the inner child system, who carries feeling and intimacy and shyness and the ability to create closeness in relationship. Following on that, we did the actual voice dialogue, which creates a very profound experience out of what has been primarily an intellectual understanding. So now Dominique has a deeper experiential basis for relating to these two systems.
So ends the Voice Dialogue video series. The accompanying audio set contains explanations of a variety of subpersonalities and a section on dreams which will help you understand the selves at a deeper level. Right now, the ideal action to take would be to attend some sessions with a professional voice dialogue facilitator. It is only by experiencing the different energies of your own selves that you will truly grasp the power of voice dialogue.